What's up, everybody? This is week four, Finding My Way with Toad. This week was a short week for Toad, so it's going to be a quick wrap up this week with the holiday and everything, and a short week as well. There wasn't much trading. There was some volatility in the market that caused uh, the volatility to go back up a little bit, even though we're at 30 or 40 this week compared to 60 last week. So it was a little bit slower this week. The moves were still there. Let's get into it with the recaps. How many days did you trade? Two?
Yeah, two.
And you said you took about 20 trades, 10 each
Something
day.
around 20 trades. Yeah, 10 each day. And I was just placing them, just kind of liberally placing what trades I thought here to kind of estimate um just generally
Is
what
that
I thought.
following your strategy or the
That it was following my strategy. And out of those 2 days, even though I am being kind of harsh on myself, out of these 2 days, just following my strategy liberally, I did come out green.
uh
Um, but I think I can do better.
Yeah, I was gonna say that 15-minute chart looks like you took a trade every single candle or a couple trades within the same candle. Um,
Yeah.
so some trades look like they might have been forced, but I can't tell. Or well, you're trading with what, three contracts?
Yeah, three contracts.
And then
So what I kind of think I'm gonna do is that out of these 2 days, I kept three separate sim leaders, right? I kept a 2 minute leader, a 5 minute leader, and a 15 minute leader. And out of all of them, the 5 minute leader prevailed significantly.
yeah,
The 5 minute leader was by far the best.
well, that just proves, like Brandon says, 5 minutes probably way better chart to look at, for your fib levels and your entry levels, your
Uh-huh.
targets as well. Um, because the 1 minute, I've noticed, like when I enter on the 1 minute and I swap to the five, I'm more calmer. I don't know if that's just psychological 1 minute where sometimes the big candles, especially when the volatility is high, you can see
Hmm.
some big candles and they can make you nervous or a little bit fearful.
Yeah.
Um, so if you're not ready for that high volatility, and most of us weren't, it hasn't been that the VIX hasn't been that high quite some time. Um,
Hmm.
we're used to being between 20 and 25, 15 and 25, not anything above 30.
Yeah.
And what we all know now, anything above 30, it's going to be bigger candles. The
Right.
weird thing, I don't know, a lot of traders were telling me it's the candles look the same size, but the value of them like tripled.
Right.
Like we were seeing what we went from, like last year we were doing like 90-point moves on NQ, and that was a lot. And then this year we just went to 200 days, average true daily average true range. Uh,
ATR.
yeah, for the NQ, it just slowly kept climbing up, and I didn't even see 400 before. And then we seen, there was that one day that was 1,200 points. I was like, dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, for real. I mean, the ATR here, based on the MNQ chart, this is going to take a sec to load, but right here, I mean, this is 400. Yeah, the 14 period, so pretty standard ATR. On the 27th to 327. Oh, why is this so far back? This is daily, right? Oh, yeah, because it discludes weekends, sure. Um, On the 17th it was 800. On the 16th it was 843, 842. I mean, this ATR is in the 500
Yeah.
minimum to a
Yeah.
thousand. I mean, this right here is a 12, was it 372 to 16. I mean, this is a huge daily
This was a
candle.
3,000 point move, I think something.
For real. I mean, it's insane. 12, 1,000 divided by 4. I mean, huge, or 10,000 divided by 4. What am I talking about? Yeah, to a 2,500 point candle.
Yep.
I mean, this stuff is no joke.
So that's something that you got to be aware of, especially if you're a brand new trader. You
Hmm.
got to take it slow on those days. Drop down to micros. Don't mess with the minis because those, if you're on a prop firm, those can blow up accounts, even on a regular on a cash account. Those can blow up real easy, especially if you don't have a lot of capital. Um,
Absolutely.
I was used to seeing 500 to 600 drawdown. During those weeks, I was getting 12 to $1,300 drawdown on the
Hmm.
same setup. Um, so yeah, you just have to adjust, drop down to micros so you can have that expected drawdown, right? Uh, yeah, let's jump into it and see what your trades look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think
Mm.
now I'm happy to go through all of the charts, transparency. Uh, but I think, like, judging by, I don't want to jump the gun on 2 days worth of data, but I kind of want to just cut out the 2 minute trading for now.
Yeah,
Because my 5 minute, so what you're seeing right now is 5 minute synchronized across all my charts. Um, and if I swap to my 2 minute, it's just more hectic. So I got in. Uh, Now this is my 2 minute, leader account, but really this is a 1 minute chart here and a 5 minute chart here on the
yeah.
top right, 1 minute on the top left. Um, let me expand this. I got in here off the 10 SMA, which was pretty. Oh, where am I at here? Sorry about that. Which was pretty jump. Oh no, which is pretty jump the gun, like
To get in
off the
short
10. Yeah,
or
to
long.
get in short, like all the way here, like before
Oh
we
yeah.
even got to, you know what I mean? Like, kind of jump the gun here, and then also here, right? And then I got out short here, and then double enteried here, right around the 100.
To go
Uh,
short.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right around the 100, right around these structures here. Um,
Yep.
got in short, but it's like, I kind of want to just look at the 5 minute, because I think I'm just going to cut out this 2 minute trading altogether.
Right there,
Because
there's a good structure rejection right there. Yeah,
yeah,
right
a good
there.
structure rejection, but it's kind of like, realistically, I had to just get in on the wick, like there was no on the 2 minute. I
The
think
way,
I'm really looking for, like, close of candle, but
yeah, the way. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I just had to have the order set.
Yeah, already up here.
Uh-huh, just there, just sitting. I had to have the orders just sitting. Um, there was no waiting.
Yeah, the
Um,
way that I would target it, I usually do the body right here. So I'll put a fishing order out right here, and then I'll do one at the moving average. If it's not too
hmm
spread apart, right? If it's like 20 points apart, then yeah, I might not. I might just put this one up here. Just because
yeah.
I know, look at where did I tell you? Whenever there's structure, look for these big candles, these big range candles.
Yep, yep, and that's actually so it's like all right. So I'm just gonna swap to the 5 minute my 5 minute chart here for recaps, because I'm just gonna cut out this 2 minute trading. Like my data shows me that, so I'm just gonna cut out my 2 minute trading here, and I had two trades on the 15 minute chart. Actually, I'll cover those real quick because they were just like second, like super slow trades. I just had fishing orders sitting at the half whole dollars as
Uh-huh.
per so I had a fishing sitting at the 400. I caught 20, and then I had a break, and then I've had a profit stop here. And then I had a fishing order sitting at 350. And I caught 20 there and then hit a
To
profit
go
stop
short.
to go long.
Oh, to go long right there.
Yeah, to go just to use a fishing order sitting off the half whole dollar to go long. Um, Nothing crazy, risking 20 to 20.
Yeah.
Both of those were winners off the half whole dollar. Just fishing orders sitting at the those half holes for 20 to 20. So there is that. So I'm gonna, I mentioned those real quick just because that's super quick.
Yeah, that's hyper scout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty simple. Nothing crazy. I mean, really, it's like there wasn't. I'm pretty sure actually they were also. I mean, yeah, they were in the golden pocket. Like pretty typical to be able to catch something there. But other than that, I'll swap back over to my five because that's what I'm going to focus on. That's what I'm pretty data oriented, and if that's what's showing me that I should focus on, then I'll focus on that.
And it might
Uh,
slow you down from taking too many trades as well. Because
yeah,
the one minute you could
100%.
take two trades within a 5 minute candle instead of just
Hmm.
waiting for the 5 minute candle and to catch that bigger move or catch that better play.
Absolutely. So went ahead and looking for mostly trades short here. So I did, however, I love that it kind of turned out because I did follow my system in that if you look at my spaghetti MAs,
Yep.
um they are going downward. On the 15 minute they're going downward. Um, on the 5 minute, they're going downward, and I was taking these. So I think what I mentioned at the beginning here is that actually this short here was a full sim, just kind of like testing out here, going for the momentum.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then what I shot for was a short off of and this is what's so much better than my 2 minute is that my 2 minute I was going short. I went for the 100 and the 50, but on the 2 minute, this was not sim. I actually replicated this, but on the 5 minute, this was actually full sim, and I waited until because as Brandon, this is kind of like very supporting of the 5 minute because it's like it slows me down. I'm thinking about how it's going to probably pop up past my moving averages. Um, so it's like I had my fishing orders on the 50 and then all the way above everything. So I actually had two fishing orders here. You can see on the 1 minute. I got in short here and short here. So on the 50 SMA and then above the 50 SMA on the 1 minute. And then on the five, that correlates to actually the 100 EMA, and about the 30 EMA. But also it correlates to the Fibs as well, about the golden pocket. Um, and then this one, I started taking profit right at about 20 points for each one. Looking to also take it about 50. Um,
Down.
yeah, down short.
Where
And
was that golden pocket again?
that golden pie, if I go onto the five, start filling out this leg here, this right here is the pocket. Do I have a, thought I had a, oh, here we go. Got the box. Um,
What box?
this little shaded box here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, so here's the pocket, getting in right at about 31 or
Yep.
38.2. Adding in on the close of that candle, and then getting out right at about the 50% of that candle, getting out at the bottom of that candle. And then I actually had some runners here. So this was three contracts. So each of these, which I was comfortable with, each of these entries were three
Yeah.
micros. I got out, let's see, one, two, three, four here. I'm pretty sure one of these was a trail stop. Yeah, stop three. So I came down, hit these, got trail stopped out, but then eventually caught this runner here for 50.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like caught a pretty decent move here. And then let's
So
see,
check it out before you move on.
yeah,
Hey, over here, see how you entered a little bit early? Well,
this
well,
one.
yeah, you entered right here and then right here and then
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean,
you
this
went short
one,
or no?
yeah, because this one was a sim, but I kind of thought this one would work out, so I will call that an early entry for sure. I'm gonna calculate. I'm not gonna disclude that from my stats.
Well, if you look at it differently, it wouldn't be an early entry unless you entered up here, right? Because look, you had this structure. What did I say? Look for those big candles, but even behind it, there's structure right here,
Right.
right? So that's heavy resistance. So entering there, but a little bit higher, would have been a better entry to go down,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're still in the sequence, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. You're still in that sequence.
Right.
Uh, what happened? Oh yeah. Um, so no knock there, and then especially this candle over here came back and confirmed, and you got that. But something that I like to do with the fibs that I like that Brandon taught us is fibbing these high range candles. Like you entered early, but so you could have stayed in the game. I would have fibbed this high range candle right there. That one, and then you can do this one after, you know. So watch if you fib that big candle, this one right here,
Mm-hmm.
this will be the golden pocket, and if it holds below it, or if you're not in the trade, you could have got in there to go down to to a, to get this structure because it didn't take it out. It didn't take it out, so it's gonna go take it out. And if you look at the 5 minute over here, see how it created a higher high and then a lower low, and then we have this structure right here that we need to break because it's a base. And then as soon as you see a lower high, you know that's gonna go take out the bottom of this. And then it breaks that structure, right? And it goes over here. So these entries right here were good. To go down, I don't know if you can fib. Uh,
Yeah. Let me put my
okay.
regular fib on. Where is my normal fib? Oh my gosh, I got all these weird fibs. I don't have my normal fib. This right here is my. Oh, let's use this one because it's got the golden pocket.
Like fib that big algo right there. I would fib that out.
This one right here?
Yep. Fib it down and then just wait for the golden pocket to hold.
Right.
And it held twice. Boom, boom. I'd rather have take this one just because it created a lower low. I mean a lower high
Mm-hmm.
right under, and it confirmed the GP right here.
Mm, I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? Those high range, those big candles that don't look normal, fib those suckers out, especially if you're in a trade or because then you can be like, it can be a guide, right? If it breaks above the GP and you entered short over here, you might want to stop out if it breaks above a hard open close above the GP right here. Instead of having your stop way up here, it would save you a couple of dollars, you know?
Yeah,
But then if you're in a trade and you're like, okay, it's holding below the 50, I can take it down to the 100. And then if it breaks the 100, okay, the next target, the 161 down here.
makes sense.
Like just use it as a guide. Like over here too, you could have fit that big candle out too. And then you probably would have entered right here. And even this one. See these big range candles? Boom. Take it short. Where's the line up? Right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
High range candles.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm gonna take out the I'm gonna probably take out, like I said, the 2 minute here, and that gives me more kind of mental space to focus on just high range candles and stuff like that, like more fundamentals.
Yeah, if you're using the fib, I don't want to, change your strategy or anything, but that's just another way that you can use the fibs.
No,
Remember,
I like the fib.
you can use fibs, I mean the high range gaps, dojis, or high
Uh-huh.
range candles.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the bigger the candle, obviously the better. And the no GP tag strategy, doing branding strategy, it's pretty freaking laser.
Right.
And like I said, if you tag it up, even right here, look, you had your moving averages. We had break of structure, right? Because this got taken out. So you got
Mm-hmm.
moving averages. We got support hold there. But up here, we have more resistance. You have all these moving averages. We have a GP of that candle right here, of this candle.
Mm-hmm. Are you
Um,
there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
Okay.
so you have that confluence of other strategies stacked up. I would always take that trade. If two or three, the more that stack up, the better. But usually when there's two strategies, whether it's ICT, lead strategy, structure, fib, or moving averages, any a combination of those two, I prefer to have at least three, but sometimes I'll take it on two.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I think going ahead and focusing primarily on a single time frame here will probably help a good bit. I think I've been pretty hooked on the 2 minute like candle closures for a while, but like looking now that I actually went ahead and split my days amongst the time frames here, I don't actually think the 2 minute is that special. Like, so I'm gonna go ahead and focus more on fibs, use my moving averages and increase because it's like right now, um, doing all right with what I'm doing here. So let's dial in. I'm gonna dial in with the 5 minute. I think that sounds good. Fibbing more the high range, although it sucks that these algos are not on NinjaTrader. But what are you gonna do? Like
But
this,
isn't that
This
You
one is
can
a
do that
data.
on, yeah,
This
do
one is
that,
an
sucker.
actual data, but
Oh,
on
okay.
TOS you get the actual
Yeah,
algos.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
If you only
but
have real estate for one monitor or one screen, you can still do those big candles or you know, there's not really no gaps other than at the open on futures.
right.
So the likelihood of you doing a gap is less, but there is gaps on the 1 minute or even the 15 second. There's definitely gaps, like almost they get filled instantly. Um,
Oh yeah, every
but
time.
um, you can still use fibs on futures. I've used them overnight a lot. That's what I do. I do the exact same strategy that we use on SPY and QQQ. Um, on Sunday when the market's not open and after hours when the market's not open. And the strategy still works.
Absolutely. I mean, waiting for those 50% retracements, which I guess technically, I mean, it is a fib strat. I think it's also a oh, what's the word? It's like a it's like Dow. Is it Dow? Um, whatever. Who cares about what theory it is? The point is the 50% retracement.
Yep.
That's the big factor.
Yeah, it's pretty laser.
Hmm.
And everybody has the same. It's funny because a lot of these strategies all line up, but they just use different terminology to explain the same thing.
Yep.
So whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, usually. I'm pretty. Sometimes it depends for me. I'm pretty freaking tense about who actually shares the strat.
Yes.
I get it gets it gets to me at some point. You know what I mean? You probably see my messages. You probably seen them. I'm like, it gets to me. Like the actual genuine ICT guy, it's like
Yeah.
he looks like he photoshopped a withdrawal. And I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna listen to anybody who photoshops anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's like when it comes down to it, we're just looking at how to make money.
Yes, sir. Whatever
So
helps you get there.
yeah. So this was the first one in the 5 minute. Like I said, I want to look at the 5 minute because I don't even want to look at the 2 minute because I'm just gonna cut that out for now and
Okay.
just look at the 5 and the 1 minute. So I got in 1-5 here, and this is a pretty aggressive five. I actually was kind of just like I said, this was a sim kind of testing my moving averages here. I got this yellow here is the 5 EMA, and I was like kind of testing like momentum here if I could just flush it off the five. But it was pretty aggressive. I got in two pieces. I stopped out here on this green arrow here. Um, but at the same time I got stopped out, I was like, I'm not going to worry about that trade. I'm just going to enter my proper trades here. Entered in here right above, right on the 50, and then on the break of the 50 here. Caught these moves down, caught a runner down. So overall, this was a pretty decent trade. Look to flush down past this structure. Catch actually pretty, I mean, decent. I think it was like 100 points there on that one. And then the second trade here, I actually wasn't even watching this second trade. I put in an ATM while I was doing some day job stuff off of my 30 EMA on the 5 minute, um, which lined up with the open of the flush candle here. And one thing that I want to pay attention to is that the close, or I'm sorry, the close of this one, the close of the ignition and the open of the flush. One thing I want to notice, remember, is that the kind of the close of the ignition candle is often a retrace, and one of our members, Easy Win, notes that. all the time. He says, here's a break of structure, return to the structure is a short. You remember you kind of that jog your memory perhaps of him typing that stuff in chat? Um, I don't know if you see that a whole lot, but he says that a good bit is that a return to structure is a short. So, for example, on the 5 minute here, pretty much lower highs. All of my EMAs are stacked downward, lower high here, lower high here, lower high here. Um, so still with structure, nothing crazy. And then here, if I fib this algo candle like we were looking at, I would say this candle right here is kind of like an ignition of a rejection.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, and then right there, right along the close of that rejection, you can see a good short here,
Yep.
like a no heat short. And then if you follow the ignition of that rejection, here's another immediate short.
Yep.
Um,
Um, Track this 50% of this big huge wick of the algo of just the wick. And that'll probably put you right where they rejected, where that candle rejected.
oh my gosh. Oh,
I always tell you, look at the 50% of any wick. It could be this wick, this wick, this wick. As long as it doesn't go above that wick, then the bears are coming in. And as soon as I would have seen this lower high right here, I would have got it. Especially what is this little dots right here? These little white dots.
these are the 50 EMA high and low. It's kind of like a cloud. It's kind of like
Oh.
an over under cloud.
Yeah,
Um,
but just looking at, because it couldn't make a higher high, it couldn't push over the 50% of this. If it would have held with the body above, like one of these candles, if we would have
uh-huh.
held above the 50, then it probably would have gone like this and gone up. But right away, it couldn't even get past the 61, hit the 50, and then almost rejected instantly. Boom. And then you look for a lower high or break of the moving averages, and you could have got in either here or the break down here, depending on what entry method you're using.
Now that is super telling because you're saying that the proper entry for this, what actually wasn't until here,
Yep.
right? So it's not a fishing order on the 50.
You
It's
can, but that's a little bit more
here.
aggressive because you're still in trend, right? You're still making higher highs, higher lows, right? So this is risky. This is getting in early, but it's riskier. This is confirmation and not really confirmation. This is the best confirmation because you have know
Yes,
what I'm saying? And then you got the break
I
of
do.
structure. The break of structure, a lower, we already had lower low, lower low. We didn't have a a lower high, right? Lower high, lower high. We haven't had, what do I always say? When there's a base, it wants a fresh low.
Yeah.
And that's where you can look at it. Fresh low can be in the middle of the chart, even though it's not a fresh low technically. When I mean fresh low and what Brandon means fresh low is that there's always a base. And what it does, it goes, takes out stops that were probably over here, and then it'll have an exhaustion pop. And where's it gonna pop to? The previous structure or a moving average, and then the bears come in because the bulls are exhausted, right? Because these people, the professionals, probably stayed in and didn't get stopped out because they knew there was going to be a pop to be able to even break even or get out with the small profit before the bears came in,
Hmm.
right? And that's if you got in down here at the bottom. If you got in over here to go long, then you're fucked. The stops are taking you out right here. And that's what I love to see is like that liquidity sweep. See how this takes this out? So we have that too. Because then you know that the bears are coming
Yeah,
in. Know what I'm saying? Because we got a lower high. Then we get a lower low. Take out these, take out the liquidity there, and then the bears can come in and take and have their feast and go down.
that makes sense.
So you could have got in here. Like I said, it's riskier. This is the grade A over here. Patience, waiting for this. And
This
this
is the grade A.
this right here would have said like, oh shit, I missed it, and you would have probably like shorted right here, and we never short bottoms because there can always be a pop.
Hmm.
Never short bottoms right here says it all, especially. And like I said, as you're going down, look at the wicks. Any wicks that you see, okay, that has a wick, that has a wick, so that level has to either hold if it's gonna pop up or not. If it breaks, then we're going to this next wick. Check the 50% of that wick. If it takes it out, then it's gonna take it out. And then
That
always
makes
look
sense.
back. Always look back at structure. Remember, because even though this is not really structure, it is a little bounce area right here in the micro. And then you still got this. And remember, we had structure over here somewhere too. So you have a line right there that you can draw.
Hmm.
And that would be you have a fishing order out on your moving average or anywhere on this structure right here. And you can either stop out up here or stop out up here. But yeah, and then that would be the shift of structure, right? If it goes like this, pops up, takes this out, and then you might want to wait for a pullback to break even or get out with the small profit, and then it's gonna go up. Because yesterday I was trading with just price action, and I was just following structure,
Oh yeah.
structure, structure to structure to structure, and the structure is not necessarily structure. It's like splits. Like I played this down to this down to this structure is right. It's gonna bounce right there. It could have potential bounce. And then I took it back to here to a moving average. And I played them down and I played it up. And I was like, oh shit, you can really follow the structure. Because even this, right? This leg down breaks this structure. So now we're looking for a lower low. I mean,
Right.
now that we got a lower low right here, now we're looking for a lower high. Where the lower high can happen? Right here where the candles overlap. Anywhere right there.
Yeah.
If it breaks above the 50%, then I want the 50% of this handle to hold. And if it breaks above there, then I'll probably stop out because it could wick, but it's a hard open stop out, not a wick stop out because it could wick, take out the stops, and then go down.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of two things I think I got to focus on is perhaps on these hard open. Maybe I'll go ahead and have, especially since I'm cutting out the 2 minute, I'll go ahead and have two specifically different. I'll have a hard open close of maybe like 1 micro, and then a hard stop position of like I guess three.
Just be careful if you're gonna use a 5 minute because those can be huge or bigger than the 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you may want to play around with that. It could be a hard open close of the 1 minute below your level, right? Because if you use a 5 minute hard open close below your level, it could be 100 point candle or more.
Yeah, that's true. So what I'm operating on is a about a 400 to 500 maximum daily loss, no negotiation.
Yep.
Um, and so that hits me to about one if I want to take and I want to be able to take about normally in the typical American is three strikes you're out. I go
Yep.
for four consecutive. losses in absolute no negotiation stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I should never. Three is like, all right, what's going on here? And a four is I just
you're
need to
on
walk
tilt.
away entirely.
You're on
Exactly.
tilt. You're on tilt. If you took two or four red losses, you're on tilt. You're already trying to make your money back or
Yeah,
chasing the money, and
absolutely.
it's like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. I need to shut this shit down. Uh,
Exactly. I try to limit it to like two, but sometimes, I mean, you can take two losses pretty easily if you've got a tightish stop. Um, I mean, I guess in my opinion, you have more experience, uh, and you do, and you have a different stop methodology.
yep.
Um,
Everybody's gonna have their own type of stop. It's just whatever makes you feel good or comfortable. And the the hard open close, what helps using that strategy is getting wicked out.
yeah.
So that's an awesome strategy if you're always getting wicked out, right? If that's one of your issues where it's coming to your stop and it just bounces and you're like, oh, darn. The other strategy is let me put my fishing order or my buy order or your order to entry where your stop would be. That's another
Hmm.
method that's spoke about in the books and a few traders use that. Um, but anything could happen any day and it can just flush right through there and then you're gonna be like, oh well that strategy doesn't work. And you don't want to be stuck in that loop chasing the
Yeah.
strategy. You just gotta
Yeah.
figure out your method, right? Because you can take any strategy and put 30 guys together, they'll use the same strategy different ways. It's like
Yep.
Microsoft. You have 10 different ways or 100 different ways to do the same thing differently, but you get to the same end goal.
100%.
So yeah, you just gotta keep messing around with those stops, see what you feel more comfortable with.
Hmm.
Uh, and that also could be that you're being over leveraged, right? If you can't tolerate that big of a stop, that means you need to drop down to one micro. Or if you're on micros, or if you're on minis, maybe drop down two micros. Um, so you're not be like, oh man, I got wicked out again. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be less, but at least you're training yourself to take a better entry.
Right.
You don't want to you don't want to get used to 50-point drawdowns because 50 points eventually is going to end up to blowing your account.
True.
I would say maybe 15 to 20 drawdown on NQ, 5 to 6 on MES, maybe 8 or 10, depending on how comfortable you are if you're using micros or ES.
Awesome. Yeah, that's about what I'm going for. And it's interesting because like I mean, you said last week to record my trades and start counting my win-loss across the week. And I was like, all right, if
Yep.
I'm going to do that, I need to have a proper um methodology to my stop because I was like, like I think I'm kind of being inconsistent with where my stop is. Like sometimes it's at the candle, sometimes it's further, sometimes it's this. Um, but putting it so this week actually I had a proper 20-point stop no matter what. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this and then next week swap just only look at the 5 minute and the 1 minute.
Yep.
Um, and go ahead and see where that pulls me because I think that's probably going to end up significantly better here and see where that goes. Because I think focusing on like too many things is not great.
Yeah.
Or trying
That's
to look at too many things.
at home. I only have honestly two charts up, and I'm swapping through the TOS or I'm looking at Brandon's TOS um, for VIX. Other than that,
Hmm.
I have. like NQ and MES or NQ and ES split, just so because sometimes you can tell which one's leading, and if you miss the move on one, you can catch it on the other.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, having a lot of charts can be a distraction too. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with. If you're an IT guy or in technology, you're probably comfortable with multiple screens. If you're new, you're probably gonna have a hard time and have to get used to multiple screens. Uh, 'Cause you're just gonna be like, or you need to come up with the system, right? You look at SPY, okay, what's going on there? What's going on at QQQ? What's going on at VIX? And then okay, jump to your ES and NQ chart, like have a little clockwise circle or something. I don't know. Come up with the routine so you can get
Hmm.
better at dialing in. If you don't have that dialed in, you're probably gonna miss a lot of moves or you're gonna chase a lot of moves.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so having a proper stop can inadvertently help with your emotions and FOMO. So if you actually stop out, you can always reset, right? Reset real quick, reevaluate the chart, go take your 5 minute break, 15 minute break, come back, reevaluate, and then take another trade like a robot without letting the last trade go and not dwelling on it.
Right. Which is pretty tough. Uh,
It is. That's one of the hardest parts is the emotions and keeping them in check. But I think if you start a routine of like how you trade, act as if you're a computer. You only take the trade when it hits my level. You only take a trade when you have confirmation. You only take a trade when the sequence or the structure is broken, and the shift of momentum is there.
right.
Or your grade A setup. That was another thing, right? Your first trade better be your grade A setup. You're not taking grade B or grade C. That's why that's why I like for you to record your trades, and then we'll figure out what a grade A and your grade B is. And when you figure out what your grade A is, that's where you're gonna have better consistency because you know when to use that trade, and you know when to okay if I because the grade A setup is gonna guarantee you or not guarantee you, but you're gonna have way bigger odds of getting a first screen trade, and that gives you the momentum for the day,
Hmm.
right? And then the second trade, okay, I can take a grade B or grade A depending on how much money you made on your first trade. You'll be like, okay, I'm willing to like if I make $500 on my first trade, okay, I'll give 250, so now my stop's 750, right?
Right.
Um, to let it breathe. I'm willing to give back. I still in the day green, and I still hit the $200 profit target, and you're good.
Right.
If you take two red trades, that's my other rule. Two max trades, and that's why I like where you said if you have $500 max loss, daily loss, that's good because it'll save you from locking yourself out. And I'm pretty sure that you can adjust daily lockout to if you're red 500, you're done. If you're using trade oh 08 or I think Ninja does too. Pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's
And
it's pretty easy.
that'll kind of put keep you in check where you're not over trading and blowing up an account and then going to go buy another one because you're on tilt. That's what the prop firms want. They want you to go on tilt so you blow up your account and then you go buy another one. He's like, oh, I need to make that back. I know I can get it. And then you're still on tilt. You're still making erratic decisions and you're still taking bad trades.
Right. Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest problems is that actually that was part of this exercise is that it's kind of like in the last because and then anybody that's been following this freaking YouTube knows that one of that it's like I've been doing this for a good bit. I mean a year, that's nothing crazy. I think a lot of people expect to get into trading and make money in their first year. And it's like realistically, how many jobs can you start learning and make money within 1 year? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not many fruitful, long life. But anyway, um, is that one of the things you're talking about is that hard stop is that I looked back and I realized it's like, yeah, okay, I've gotten my payouts, I've gotten some, like not I'm not I haven't made back all the money from the market. I'm not on paper profitable. And it's like let's look at these accounts. Realistically, a lot of them I am surpassing what should be a max daily loss,
Yep.
and then I'm making it back, right? And it's like, what's the problem here? The problem is the entries. The
Yep.
problem is stuff like this. Like my first trade here, which I noted was pure sim, but there was no reason to even be taking it pure sim. You know what I mean?
And
Like
that I'm glad you brought that up because I always tell the chat like, hey, if you're sim trading, only take trades that you would take live. Only trade with the amount of
absolutely.
money and the amount of contracts that you would trade live. If you're gonna start with the live account of $1,000, then adjust it on NinjaTrader. You can adjust your freaking, your the money, the funded, $1,000. Okay, I'm gonna trade with the $1,000. So I know what that feels like. I know how long that'll last. If you're doing prop firms and you're starting with 50K, well then sim with 50K and then sim with MES or I mean with ES and NQ at first so you can get a feel for it because you want to see okay, like in one candle I lost $300. That's too much. I can't handle that. Okay, let me go down to micro so I can be $30 instead of $300.
Right.
Um, just until you get used to it, especially if you're brand new to the game and futures, you have to get used to the movement. You have to get used to the chart. There's a lot of little nuances that you got to get comfortable with. Um, and just how the chart flows and how price action flows.
Right.
So you're not rushing. You're not
Yep.
rushing it. And yeah, sim is not going to give you the full effect because the emotions get a lot worse. With prop firms, it kind of, even though, if a funded prop firm account, most people get mad and they blow it up, right? But they're still only risking $300.
Right.
Some people with the live account, 20, 30 grand live money, and then they blow that up. That's going to really hurt. So you'll
Yep.
be feel more attached to that money. But even a prop firm, you
Yep.
don't feel as attached. Sim is the least attached, but it still gets you comfortable with, how you're gonna train your brain to pick up the good patterns. I traded for a year. I paper traded for a year and a half. I said, I'm not gonna be like everybody else that rushes in and expects to make money in the first year. And honestly, you got to think of it as going to college, right? You either graduate early. Most traders hit their 3 year mark and then they break even or they're profitable after their third year. Um, so if you get it with anything below 3 years, you're on house money. It's good. That's great. That's what I want. This is why we created this channel is so you don't have to wait 3 years,
Right.
hopefully. Uh, but it's funny because my friend started about 6 months ago, passed a few prop firms, got funded and everything, and then he's stuck right there, right? He can't he either got a payout and then he can't get another payout. And I was like, bro, you're way ahead of me when I first started. Right? You're 6 months in, you already passed a prop firm. You got a payout, or you got a couple payouts, right? You're way ahead. Um, so hopefully it helps somebody. And yeah, let's get to your next trade
Yeah,
if you have
absolutely.
any more.
Yeah, I'll show I got another one here later on, and so took this one and then I took off of the my 5 minute kind of 30 here off the close. of this ignition candle. So actually, I mean, it off of the off of the it's kind of recapping off of the grade A, but not for the reasons that you pointed out. So I'm actually going to look back at this one and see that. I then took a further one here, which actually caught. Um, I caught 20, and then I have generally once I go like 20 points in profit and hit my T1, I have a profit stop.
Yep.
And it like barely it just ticked my profit stop.
So squish that chart up a little bit.
Squish that up.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there. See how if you got it right here, something that I would recommend that at least pay attention to is this structure right here.
I don't
Always
see
pay
it.
attention
Oh,
to
there
the
we go.
previous structure. Especially that's an awesome entry right there, right? Because you got this structure that it rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, right? So you get in, you either target the moving averages, 200, or the structure right here. Because that'd be the next potential catch point to either go up or do what it did, right? Because you would
Yep.
want to, if you're in long here, then you would target the VWAPs. That's a little hyper scalp move right
Yeah.
there.
And part of why I love this trade is my freaking I don't know if you have a cheat code for Ninja Trader, but my Ninja Trader 50 line on my RSI will not stay. But
Oh,
either way, I got
you
we
gotta
hit the
save it.
70. I gotta save it.
So put the line on there. Put the line
Yeah,
50.
right
And this
about
is
here.
something for you too, Pat. Is if you don't save it this particular way, it's not gonna save. Do you save?
Save the templates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saved my templates. That's what I was asking though. I've been using the web version instead of the desktop app. Do you have to use
Yeah.
the desktop app?
You don't have to, but I think it's better.
Yeah, no, definitely it has more versatility. I kind of like how
Well,
simple the web
you get
version
more
is.
options.
Yeah,
You
it's
get more
simple like
tools
me.
than you do on it just depends what you like to use, right? If you're just using moving averages and stuff like that, but if you're using like ICT fair value gaps and stuff, the scripts are on the desktop. I'm not sure if they make them for the web version.
I just use fibs and lines anyways, man. I
Yeah.
just keep it real easy.
So if you do that, then yeah, whatever fits your style better. Whether
Um,
if it's just that, then just use
you
the
can
web
even
version.
use the yeah, you can use the web version with prop firms too. I was reading on some of them, you definitely could, and then some of them don't allow it.
I don't think so. I know with Apex you can't. Um,
That's fine. I'll probably need to download the desktop anyways and try it.
with Blue Sky, you might just be careful with, especially if you're running multiple platforms or multiple things, is the RAM. Make sure you have enough RAM on your computer.
I
Yeah,
got
yeah, it depends. For
32.
that mobile
Yeah.
version, you can run the mobile as long as they are running Tradovate. Because the so what you're referring to as the Ninja Trader web is actually Tradovate.
Right. Yeah, you were explaining that to me. Yep. I don't think they offer that on Blue Sky, man. I think you have to do it through Rhythmic.
No, no, they do. I've got
Oh, they do?
yeah, yeah, I'm running the Tradovate.
I'm
Yep.
gonna hit you up and have you walk me through that. But anyways, don't get off
It's
Yep.
all
the
good.
show for all that.
Yeah, it's all good. I've only got a few. I mean, I'm happy to talk about. This is like I mean this week here. I mean, j just the week it was. You know what I mean? I think there's also like, honestly, ideally, man, like coming into this week, I've got messages with one of my trading buddies that say explicitly, this week I kind of don't want to be trading much. And I don't want to get to like people shouldn't be afraid of trade. Like just scale down and take the trade. You know what I mean? Like don't be a
Yep.
baby about it. Um, just scale down and take the trade. Don't be like, oh, like worrying about, oh, what is Trump gonna say? What's the market gonna happen? What's manipulation is gonna like? Don't be a baby. Just scale down and take the trade. Um, but th this week in general, like genuinely was not the greatest. With the OPEX and the Jerome Powell
Well,
I
that
was
it
gonna
was a
say
short week too, so
and the
that
short week.
that it's
yeah,
priming up for next week, just like we talked about in the pre-chat or the pre-meeting. Is like it's going to have a big move, and I need to track the Gande because it should be coming up soon. I think it might be
all
on
the
the
action
19th.
was all the action was post market. That's where everything happened this week. Every day was just like consolidation during live hours. That's why it was rough.
Yeah, it really did kind of feel like a lot of consolidation. Yeah, I mean if we look
Semper
at
was
the daily, it's a lot of consolidation. I mean, 2 good days.
Semper was talking to us something about the templates though, saving the templates. Now that we're way off subject.
Saving the templates. Oh yeah, on how to get this 50 line to stay. Every time I close that, this
So
50
go to
line, every time I
tools,
cl
bring up the tools window, or put it
tools
on the 50 first. First,
tools window, so right click that.
yeah. See how it says templates?
Templates, yes.
Hit save. You can see save as default or whatever you want.
Really? Okay. So I guess I'll save this as
Or are you saving the workspace too, or no? You gotta
yeah,
do
I
both.
am saving the workspace.
The workspace should save it. Are you putting it at the 50? It looks like it's a
Yeah.
little bit above.
Oh, you know what it is? I think about it, I'm often clearing all my drawings, which removes that. Yep, that's
Oh
what it
yeah.
is.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks on Ninja. I wonder if there's like a custom RSI because for some reason on the Ninja RSI you've only got the lower and the upper. There's no
Yeah, I'm
mid.
not sure.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. But
Yeah.
so yeah, this is my second one here. I think actually this I'm not upset about my trail stop that it ticked me out literally like actual freaking I got in here and I put my trail stop and it actually just I think I actually stopped out at the absolute highest tick possible. You know what I mean? You see that shit? You see, I actually stopped out the actual tick possible,
And that
but
was your original stop, or that was
that was the trail. So my original entry was right here.
yep.
Um, I saw that my 30 EMA, I like the 30 lined up with the close of the ignition on the 5 minute here,
Is that the
and
VWAP right there?
no
The
VWAP,
fuchsia? What that?
no VWAP.
What's that?
This one right here.
Another one below.
Oh, this.
Right there. That one. Oh yeah, yeah.
This is actually the midpoint of the previous day, right? So if I fib out the whole previous day, I'll click the wrong button. If I fib out the whole previous day, it's the 50%.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. The GP
See what I'm
of the
talking about?
day.
Yeah. So this is actually pretty sick. I don't know, Ninja. There's like this indicator company Ninja.
Uh,
Um, they had this promotion. They were giving away a free indicator, and they have a whole lot of BS indicators. And then, but what I landed on that I wanted to get for their free indicator was what was this one here. It's got like the a lot of stuff. There's actually a lot of stuff that I removed here, but it's got the previous day high, low, center, and close and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah.
uh,
That's
yeah,
like
it's
the
great.
TOS script we have.
Exactly. Well, although that TOS script from BRT is free.
Yeah.
Um, and it's super good, right? Because you can see we tap the prior day mid,
Yep.
pump it, tap it, drop to the close, pump to the mid,
And
bust
then
the close.
you break it right there, right? You break
Uh-huh.
it, and then retest to go down. Well,
Yep. And that's exactly that. That I had multiple points of confirmation on this trade here. I had my EMA as like a kind of a general thing, the prior day mid, this candle here for the ignition, retest of the structure. So this trade, even though I got kicked out of it, was probably my favorite trade of
yeah,
this day.
look, so eliminate all this. This is your grade A, right? This would be grade B, and this is grade C, risky. So this would have 80 to 90%.
Yeah.
This I would say maybe 65 to 75.
Hmm.
And then this one probably like a toss up.
Yeah.
And that's why identifying your true setup is like the thing that you should focus on. What is your grade A with the strategy that you're using? What is your grade A? What is your grade B?
Right.
Because you'll notice once you start stacking other strategies, you're like, oh man, that's the 50% fib of the daily candle, a fib level. Oh shoot, it has moving average right there, resistance. Or that's a fair value gap from right here to here. It has a lot of things right there, confluence. And you're like, oh shoot, that's your grade A because that's like four strategies stacked up. So you have, freaking four or five trading groups trading that same strategy. So you're gonna have more momentum with
Right.
that strategy and the least amount of drawdown. Like grade B, you have a little bit of drawdown. Grade C, you have the most amount of drawdown.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
identifying that, but only taking the trades that you should be taking, right? Break a structure. There's a moving average. There's a fib level. There's a daily level. There's a weekly level. Those levels get hit. You take the trade and accept it. And you'll start. You have to have that consistency where you follow the rules to your strategy. If you don't have rules for your strategy, well then let's start creating them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the like so I mean the number as we discussed last week, the number one item I look for is that I'm with structure.
Yep.
Um, if structure is short, I'm going to be going short and such. I'm not looking for the reversal. Um, and I was happy that I followed that this week. Um, and now I think number two, I'm not, I mean, what would tell me like, all right, I mean, it's tough because we're looking at it, but if I'm looking at the 5 minute chart here, um, yeah, I mean, okay, so you have structure break here. So if I follow the structure overnight, because this is futures open, I follow the structure. You just go back here, right? Higher low, something like that. Let's wait until I probably higher low,
See, if you wait for the structure break,
high
that's like your
low.
number one signal, right?
So here is what I would say the structure break.
Yep.
And that's as we discussed last week, number one item on the
Yep.
checklist.
Yep.
All right, and then all right, so I fib this out, and that's a perfect 50%. But would you still say this is a grade B trade
Yes.
because it's the original structure?
It is just because it's still in trend. So we haven't created a lower low, right? Because we created, let's just say right here, we got the lower low because there's really no structure here, even if you count these little ones, yeah, right? But they're like almost non-existent. There's right? Let's just say this is one hump. Here's a lower low, right? And then we got a lower high.
Right.
And then we got that. The only thing that would make me good about this trade is that we broke this structure. We swept that. So now we can go up to right here and reject and take it down to the next moving average, which would be right here. But you have to pay attention to what it does right here
Right.
because that's that structure. So the wicks right there, we're
Mm.
always saying the 50% wicks. If it breaks below the 50% of those wicks, then we're coming down.
Hmm.
And at the 50% of those wicks, not only that, you got moving average, right? So you got moving average. What else you got right here? What's right here? You got 100% fib, right? It already did the top. Now it's completing the bottom. So it's kind of like a 50-50 right here. But it is a good trade to take just because we have structure breakdown.
Okay.
But like I said, you're in a longer term trend. And see this right here? There's a big red candle. Bears were right there. I
Yeah.
would have had a line on this pair right here all the way across. And I would have expected something, a rejection to happen at that point. But see how this big red candle, if I'm not seeing big red candles over here, then the bulls might still be in charge. Because look, we're getting big green candles up, right? And we came from big candles.
Yeah. Yeah. So it can make a break of sequence, but still high or low.
Yeah, because look right here, right? We have a base. So what can it do? It can either do this, hold and bounce. It can break fresh low and bounce, or it can just go like this. Those are your three scenarios that can happen when it's this high, when it's in trend. It also depends what time of day. That's why I like that you came up with those numbers, the likelihood of power hour, how it's gonna end,
Yeah.
because I never knew that data, but I knew that it's weird. You can as you guys start to see from like 10 a.m. my time to about 11:30, you start to see the setup for power hour. And if you just have in the back of the head, like, okay, whatever it's doing right now, they're going to do the opposite during power hour. Most of the
Hmm.
time. Most of the time. Because they're
Hmm.
setting it up. Remember, the market doesn't move in a straight line. So they have to they have to do a pullback for the real move to happen.
Yeah.
Whether a pullback high or a pullback low, that's up to the market, the trend in the market to decide.
Yeah.
Uh, and like I said, when Powell was speaking, usually with Powell, if it dumps before Powell, it pumps when Powell speaks, right? If it pumps before Powell, then it probably dumps for Powell speak, and then the market digests, and then it recovers. That's the cycle, right? Except this last time, it dumped before Powell, and it kept dumping during Powell.
Right.
So it always works until it doesn't. But majority of the time, that pattern works.
Right.
And what do I always say? Pay attention to the 10 and the 50 SMA cross and price action in correlation to the to the speech and dump right before Powell, and it popped maybe for like 5 seconds, and then it kept flushing.
Hmm.
But the moving averages, the 10 was below the 50. Price action was way below the 10, so they had to pop up. I thought it was going to at least pop up to the 10, and it didn't. It just kept flushing. But that crossover told me that data was going to bring it down. I was expecting a pop, but
Right.
hey, that's just what happens sometimes. It's
Yeah.
anomalies, right?
Can't
Anomalies in
get it
data.
all.
Can't
I
always get
mean,
it, but
damn, Semper, you can't have all of it.
uh, just try not to. What's
Yeah.
his name? Brandon's the one taking it all. He's
Yeah,
killing
he's
it.
taking it all. He's taking everything.
And at least he's spreading the knowledge. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. So
guess.
then, well, I just want to one quick. So then, if this right here is the B, right? It's the structure break, return of structure. You might catch the absolute, because realistically, if you catch this, right? If we are impatient, right, and jump the
Yep.
gun, or we think we're pros, right, or we are pros, whatever. Let me know. But point is, if we catch this, and it's real and it's legit, we've likely caught the high of the day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All
Yep.
right, all right, so this can be caught, all right, by fibbing out the structure break, right?
Yep.
Um, Now, and that's the grade B.
Yep.
What do you do to crack? All right, so then let's say I'm like, all right, I'll pass up on this. Let's see if it makes a lower low. And I'm like, tick, 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 tick. All right, we're at
Boom.
a lower
It
low.
breaks the structure. So now I want to get a pop.
I'm fibbing out this,
You
right?
can.
Or am I fibbing out the whole thing? You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like to catch the grade A. So I caught
To catch the grade A, I would fib it uh, from here to here.
Yeah, I look for the original structure, but oh,
Yeah.
I got a whole different drawing. What even is that? The line?
Yeah,
Um,
because the fib strategy, right? We break the 100. Sometimes we shy the 161, and we create a lower low. And now we're going back to the 100 to go attack the 161. And look at you got all this resistance. You got the 100 fib, you got the moving averages, your width trend, right? So this could be one, this could be two, and then you're gonna catch the third leg down. And not only that, look, you got RSI below.
true. Yeah, which I'm always watching. That's
So
why we were talking about
so
that
you had
50.
RSI, so this could be grade A, but like I said, it's with the pattern. So if we're on a down day and we're trending down like the previous day, you got to take it in context, right? What happened yesterday? So that's why
Yesterday.
that's why the daily GP helped.
Mm, yeah.
Because if it's a daily GP and it just tagged it right here, okay, then this is gonna be the confirmation of it to go down. If there was not fib, something that can help you is has the fib cycle completed, right? Because you fibbed it out here to here, and there's no price action here.
Oh, yeah. So there's actually price action above the golden pocket is also significant.
Yeah, because that's a fib cycle completion, right? Because you always have
Hmm.
two scenarios, right? So you got the GP right here, right? So
Right?
if it holds below the GP, take it down to the 100 or the 161 down here, right? But if it breaks above the GP, then you got to think about it going confirming a higher low, There's like really not really that good structure other than back here.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just be like, okay, if you take this, cut all this junk structure out, so it does this, and then it comes back and confirms the GP, then where do you think it's going to complete the cycle? Because why? We already tagged the 100 down here.
Mm-hmm.
But see, it tagged the GP, created a lower high below the GP. You could have took it right there down. So this could have been confirmation for that GP if you had that fibbed out. And then you had a RSI, the confirmation right here of the 50 down. This was going down, and then look at no buyer wave. So you could have got in right here.
That makes sense.
So, you got to take it in context to see what your grade A is. Because see, that would have been down almost to the 161, right?
Yeah. And yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, the 161. Yeah, I actually should be around here. Let me put on my little uh where's my golden pockets one? But actually what I'm noticing right now is boom, fib cycle complete. I was like when you're saying that, I was thinking, did this even break above the golden pocket all day? But it did.
Yeah.
It got above the golden pocket, which would have been the absolute prime entry, is that it made, right? It made the lower low,
Yep.
and then I fib out this whole structure here, and then just put a fishing order above or even on the 62
Yeah. Yep.
or the 68.
Yep.
Or no, this is the other way. This would be the 31,
The
or
38,
32. 38? Yeah,
38 too.
38.2. Yeah, 38.2. And then boom, catch the actual absolute high.
And then look, then it hits a 161.
Yeah.
And that was your other plays, right? You got in somewhere over here.
Yeah, actually, if I throw back on, no, I got in here actually. Wow, so it's like using what you're saying. Well, actually, this is 7:45. Well, no, 8. I look at the market starting at 8. And
I'm telling you, move your time over, you'll have more success.
move my time over to what, 3,
Because
5?
I used to trade from like 5 to 6:30, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I was done by 6:15. I was done before even market open. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I started seeing Brandon putting out calls 3 a.m. my time. I was like, oh shit, let me check out what's going on. And like literally, we're done. We're done by like 5:30 before data is released.
Yeah.
But hey, if you can't or you need your sleep, you got to find another time window that works best for you.
Wow, man. I want to go to sleep earlier. I think it's the getting the guts and the nuts to go ahead and tell everyone I'm around that like I'm going to bed. Like whether like no matter what anybody, because it's so funny. Like the people you're around, you know what I mean? Like you're like it's like 8 a.m. Me, I do kind of need my sleep, but it's like 8 p.m. and you're like I'm going to bed, and it's like everyone and their brother around you is like, what do you mean you're going to bed? Are you a bee? You know what I mean? What, you can't stay up late? You know? And it's like, it's almost like people want to drag you down. You know what I mean?
Uh, yeah. I
Yeah,
don't want to.
you don't want to
Me,
get
I
on
go to
that?
sleep. I go to sleep by 9 or 10,
Right.
and I'm up by 3.
Right. You don't want to, are you about to say just tell them to F off, go to bed? Like, what are you whining about? Is that what you're
Or
about
shoot,
to?
sometimes my son is up in like my younger son. He's up until like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, "What the heck are you still doing up, dude? You go to sleep."
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, but I don't know. I've been an early bird since I was little.
Me too, man. Like today I woke up at 5.
Yep.
Um and I'm with my family as I'm helping them move and stuff. One member, one my stepmother actually, she fractured her hand. She's going to like a surgery. And I
Oh
woke
shit.
up at 5. I walk outside and they're like, what are you doing up? I'm like, oh no. They're like, what are you doing up? Like, you don't have to drive her to the surgery. And I was like, I heard all, I just woke up because of the noise. And they were like,
Yeah.
they were like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. Right? They were like, and I was like, nah, I love being up this early. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I feel the early bird. Um, the only thing is really, really breaking away from that typical and being like, no matter what, I'm just gonna do what I need to do, you know.
That's where the money is. The early bird gets the worm.
Early bird gets that worm. That's true.
Get that money, get that wealth. 9 a.m. I mean, you could be done before you even get to work or have to get to work.
Yeah,
I'm usually
absolutely.
I'm at like 95% of the time I'm done before I even get to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, for you, you're 3 hours before that New York time.
Yeah. And
You know
still
what I mean?
I only trade 3 hours from 4 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. to about, and even between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. I'm getting ready, I'm getting the kids ready and all that. So I'm not really paying attention. That's why I need to get up earlier so I can at least get a trade or two in, like just clear headed. Nobody's bothering me. Work's
Oh
not
yeah.
bothering me or anything, and I can just concentrate on trading. And I'm usually done by 6:30 most of the time.
So you're actually normally done before the New York session opens.
Yep. Sometimes I'll take a trade if I see it, or if I just want to, be risky and try to make some extra money. But usually I don't give that much profits back.
All right, brother. I'm about to trade that early bird session with you. Let's hit that.
Um, I think people should check it out. Like I used to always say, after hours, like when market opens,
Yeah.
use that for training because it just moves so slow. Yeah, it's freaking boring. But honestly, that's the best time you can practice your narration.
Yeah.
Whether it's hitting your moving average, hitting a fib level, and just telling yourself, okay, it can do this. It can do this if it breaks this structure, or if it breaks this level, it can go here. If it holds this level, then it can bounce and go here. Remember, always 2 to 3 strategies or moves ahead. It's just like a chess player, thinking ahead, right? So like that, you already know, okay, if this level breaks, it takes you down. If this level holds, it takes you up. If it just chops this level, then stay out. If it keeps going under, over, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna let it chill, let the first squeeze go, and then fib it out or look for structure, whatever it is, and then get it.
Right.
Uh, you'll have way more success and you'll be way more consistent, way more consistent.
Okay.
But yeah, keep tracking your trades. So like that, we kind of already figured out what your grade A setup is, just by the way that you trade.
Yeah, it's all structure.
But
Yeah.
definitely structure is probably the number one signal. Start creating those rules. I'm not getting in a trade until I see structure break. Those are probably the best trades. If you wait for the structure to break and then or trend to build above your level, then you're gonna go with the trade,
Yeah.
right? Because look at like right here. There's a base, right? You can't really go long around here unless it's a weekly level that I hit right there. Um, and let's just say it's above your 10 estimate right here, right? You're not getting in. Okay, we got a break of structure because even though this is flat, we still broke it. Then we came back and tested it, right? So we got a higher high, higher low. Now you want to continue to see the sequence, a higher high, and then you want to see a higher low off of here. That's your best. I mean, that's your earliest you can get in, right? The latest is a moving average. So if you want to take a risk, get in early, put one at the structure, and then one at your moving average down here. And then if it breaks your moving averages or whatever this is, that's one stop, right? Or break below this structure. A hard open close below that structure down here.
Right.
But it's still in sequence, right? So you have that structure there. You could have got in there. We still got a higher high. We hit the VWAP. Now it's still in sequence, even though it's a little bit higher. So we're higher high, I mean a higher low. So you can enter there again. You could have scalped twice because resistance of that level would have been good. Got out, got back in, or just held until it hit another level up here. Whatever, if it was a fib, probably would have fibbed that level out from the base to the first pullback. So
Mm-hmm.
like that, I'd have targets up here that you could target. Because remember, can you fib that out? Just because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it broke the 100 right here, broke it, tested it, shied the 161, came back, retested it, and then to the 161. And then look
Yeah.
at the 261. And then
Yeah.
add the 361. Add the 361. I recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me actually, do I have a proper, oh, this is the closest I got. I don't know where my, this would be the 161 here. This would be the 161. All right. And then this, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is 161, right? Because this is the 161. This is the 261. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and then this is the 361.
Yep.
Yeah, because
And then
this is
look
the
at and then it
pocket, second
cycles
pocket.
back.
Yeah.
And then it just the cycle goes back. 261, 161, 100, and then the golden pocket.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then it just barely tapped this.
That's your
Yeah.
confirmation, I guess. Right here, lower high off of this.
Yeah.
That's something, another thing that you could have taken, right? Because it is a lower high. Because that one went way over there. The
Yeah.
only thing that would keep me concerned is holding this structure right here. Like if it would have hit, held, and then it probably would have went like that. But right
That,
away, hit, held, confirm, then down.
that
Avoid the
makes
noise.
sense.
Avoid the noise. Avoid all this chop and look for your primo play, right? Is there a structure break here? No, right? It's a rising wedge. So what are you looking for? I would have put a trend line on all these right here. Boom. They didn't really confirm it, but whatever.
True. Yeah, I'd probably what look for two,
Look for three at least.
look for three. Boom.
Yep.
Right along my little dots.
Yep.
The dots are basically the trend
But
cloud.
I mean, even
That's
just
how I
having
use
that,
them.
look, you have two confluences there to
And then the
confirm
perfect back test.
and the perfect confirmation back test.
Yeah. Yeah, I just need to get some nuts up and just be taking these and
But
stop like I'm
but
looking at
but
my
you couldn't see
crutches.
it because you're over here like you're kind of adjusting the strategy to see it differently, right? Whatever you had previously last week, you're seeing it differently next week. You're gonna see it
Yeah.
differently. And
Yeah.
you're just adjusting. You're using all your tools that you've accumulated in the whole last year or however long you've been trading
Yeah.
and starting to put together and stack them up. Stack them up properly where you're not getting confused.
Right.
And you'll start to notice that when they stack up together, those plays are laser.
Yeah.
Take your trade.
Absolutely.
But just start putting it all together. I know it can be hard sometimes because you're like, fuck, I gotta be charting the whole time. And that's
Yeah.
honestly gonna make you better charter, right? a better
Yeah.
freaking okay, I can fib all these high range candles, I can fib the leg, I can fib the break of structure, and then that can give you an idea because most of the time when you fib the break of structure, they'll line up with the like if the golden pocket lined up right there, I would have took that trade too, you
Hmm.
know?
And what would you do for your profit? Because we're not always holding to the 161. You know what I mean? All right, so if I fib out the break structure, if I throw that on to another one of my sexy little golden pockets, let's delete
So
the. Well, that's fine.
so if you get in right there, golden pocket, get in, first target 100, right? Especially with NQ or
Special
MNQ.
ed kit.
Because right here to right here, it could be 20 to 30 points. Me,
Oh,
honestly, I lock, if I hit 20 points, I'm locking some in.
oh yeah,
I'm locking some in and let it go, right? Because I'll enter with three, so I'll lock one in, hits 20 points. Okay, if it's holding 20 points, okay, boom. I'll let it ride, maybe lock in another one at 30, and then I'm only letting one ride. Sometimes when I let that one ride, it'll get me 2 grand off of one contract. It'll get me a
right.
thousand bucks. But I'm not even stressing because I already locked in 20, 30 points. I already locked in 20 or 30 points on 2 contracts. So I'm already golden, right? I already got like $800. And the last contract gives me another $1,000 or $800 or $500 if I get profit stopped out. I'm still good,
Hmm.
but I'm not even stressing on that last contract at all.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, that's why I'm saying on NQ, even on ES, if it's like 6 to 8 points down to here, shit, lock shit in. That's $400 with one contract on ES. You know, if it hits in 161, lock it in. Who cares if it goes back? If I'd be like, oh, I knew it was gonna go hit my 261, but yeah, this could have easily held right here and went up.
Right.
And then you would have been like, oh, I should have got out down here. And then you start playing this shoulda, coulda, woulda, and it's like, nah, who cares? Lock in, dude. Don't get greedy.
True.
That's another consistency killer is getting greedy, right? You're $50 from your target. Oh, I can take one more trade. It's only gonna take, 2 or 3 points for me to get the $50. So you can hit your daily goal. Who cares? Green is green. You ended the
Hmm.
day fucking awesome. You killed it on 3 trades. You had 3 green trades. You got profit stopped on one or two of them. Who cares? Let that shit go.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm actually I will never do that again because I'm permanently scarred from this time. I had this evaluation. I was like $60 from my goal. I was like, bruh, 3 points on NQ, nothing. Nothing. And this is I was so foolish at this time. I hopped in, I set a profit, a trade of eight daily profit trigger, right?
Yeah.
For $60 above where I was. That's all I needed to pass. I went ahead, I bought one NQ. You know what that motherfucker never hit?
Yeah.
Never hit my 3 point. It literally went all the way against me for the rest of the day. I didn't even look at it. I didn't even look at it. I was so foolish. This is why it's like I don't even know. But it went against me. I came back and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, we just went down. I was like, all we did is went down. I couldn't even get 3 points off of that.
Yep.
And that right there is like it was utter greed for my profit target.
Well, I've been there, dude. I've been there with my regular account where I'm just like, oh yeah, because I didn't have a prop from back then, right? But I still had a daily goal. I was like, I need to hit my $200 target or $300 target, and I was like, oh fuck, I went from red to green, or
Hmm.
I gave back 75% of my profit. I was like, oh man, and then
Hmm.
you're when you do that, you're more easily. bound to get put on tilt a lot easier.
Utter tilt, full tilt,
Like
full.
exactly,
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I'm only $50 away, and then next thing you know, you're negative 300, and you're like, oh, it's gonna bounce back. I know it's gonna bounce back to my level. As soon as I get out, it's gonna bounce back. And then you're having that argument in your head. You should have cut it at 150 or 250 red. And you're like, fuck. And now you're fucking red, or now you blew up your account. It's like, dang, why did I have to take that trade? And all you had
hmm.
to do is just wait till tomorrow. Don't run. Don't chase the money. Don't chase the P&L.
Don't get wrecked.
Don't get wrecked. Rush entries, kill trade.
Rushed entries, kill trades. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, this week I did throw all of my trades into separate accounts so I could record them. I ended up about 50-50, and I realized that my 5 minute is way better because looking at the 5 minute here, I think my 5 minute was way better than my 2 minute. So this coming week, full week, no J Pow talking, nothing like that. I'm gonna go ahead and laser in on the 5 minute.
Cool.
Um, use more of the fibs. Probably not focus too much on the 1 minute. And see how that goes.
Yeah. Just like I said, use them for entries, right? Because sometimes when, uh, like right here looks like maybe right here, you have break a structure on the 1 minute before you do on the 5 minute. So like the 1 minute will well, the 1 minute will get break of structure, and then 5 minute will get break of structure. And you're like, okay, now I know that they both have break of structure, so now I can look for a lower high
That makes sense.
on the 1 minute, right? And then you could get in because you're expecting, uh, you're forecasting that the 5 minute can get a lower high.
Okay,
Not
that
not
makes
only
sense.
that, but the 5 minute has, like I always say, the longer the time frame, the stronger that level is. So a 15 minute is going to supersede the 5 minute,
Right,
even though the 5 minute is going to give you the micro trend inside the 15 minute.
right.
Um,
Okay,
but
that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
a lot of this is coming down to I think intuitively, discretionarily, I'm a pretty good trader. Like I'm pretty all like but unfortunately, being good intuitively in this biz is not enough. You've got to be consistent. So
well,
I
you got
think
to just be boring. Have a system and just be
you got to be
boring.
boring.
Follow your rules, follow your trades. Don't deviate from that because you'll start to, if you created rules and you jot down every time you take a trade, the check boxes, like I said, three or more check boxes should get you in a trade. And if you don't have that, you shouldn't be touching your trade. And I guarantee that if you take any trade and you only have two checks or one check, it's gonna go against you. If you
Yep.
patience pays, right? It's not PAT, it's PAY. Patience pays. Um,
Patience. Yep.
is that's patience and your emotions will dictate your trading.
Yep.
If you're
Absolutely.
not patient, you're gonna rush and you're gonna force a trade and you're gonna FOMO, and then that's when all the all the bad habits come back. But if you're
Yeah, they
just
come
boring,
flooding.
yep, if you're just boring, you have your rules, you have fun, every like maybe we should create a journal where we have the check marks for every trade, like 5 trades per day, on each page. You just check. Okay, this trade I only had two checks. It went red. What did I do? Okay, I didn't wait. Next trade, oh, I had 4 checks. They went against me. Okay, well, what was I counter trend trading, even though I had 4 checks, or was I going with the trend? Then we could dig deeper into that trade, right? Because there's counter trend trading, there's with trend trading, and you can have 3 or 4 check boxes for each trade. But I bet you most of the time when you're with trend, you know how the saying goes, trend's your friend. When you're with trend, that trade will work out more than if you're trying to counter trend or catch a knife.
Right.
Um, but yeah, maybe this week I'm on vacation, so maybe I'll come up with a little checklist or something, and you guys can modify it to whatever you guys. Or we might have one on the BRT futures chat. I know there's a journal entry. I'm not sure if I have check boxes on there. But Lasagna Cat has one. Another thing, the check boxes, I would not phrase them, or I wouldn't write them down as a phrase or a sentence. I would write them down as a question, right?
Hmm.
Because you're questioning yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
walking yourself through. Instead of saying, "Oh, I have a GP tag," do I have a break of structure? No, no, or you wouldn't put break of structure check. You wouldn't put um 50 GP tag or daily level tag, whatever it is. You want to say, do I have this? You know what I'm saying? Or
I do.
is there a break of structure? Kind of like your interrogation. It kind of puts a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
pressure on you, but at least you're walking yourself through the chart.
Yeah.
Like the first thing that should be on top is your break of structure. Yes, okay. Now you can start looking for the other stuff. But yeah, we'll come up with that. Keep tracking your trades. You got 50% this time. Maybe we'll see a progress.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of identified your grade A, so try to take that first out the gate. And if there isn't a grade A, then don't fucking take a trade until you see a grade A, and then you can do A, B, or C trades. Um, but try to stick to A or B. That's something that helped out Easy was sticking to his A and B trades, not taking C trades, because then
Right.
that just puts you into over trading. And like, you shouldn't be taking more than 5 trades per day.
Sounds good. Let's get boring.
Let's
That's what
do
I
it.
want. That's what I want, man. Let's get boring.
Well, we'll end the stream there. See you guys next week. I should be around next week. Not sure, but I'll let you know on Thursday for sure.
All right.
All right, man.